Great, I'm Tyler Thompson. I'm a partner at Second Century Ventures and the REACH program. I've got a bit of a confession. I was looking at the run of show script a couple of days ago, and I was a bit nervous. It actually states, word for word, Tyler will be greeted by thunderous applause. I thought that was a bit of a stretch. So I was relieved this morning. Thank you, I appreciate that. But I was relieved this morning they fixed it, so they changed it from thunderous to just regular applause. I do want to introduce the actual stars of this panel. These are executives that you know, two women that certainly deserve thunderous applause. We have Lauren Hansen, CEO of IRES, and Karen Cage, CEO of RealComp, with us today.
Oh, kind of far apart.
Yeah, we got a bit of distance between us.
We
there.
do.
Thank you both. So we're talking about new entrants to the marketplace today, and this is actually a topic that's really interesting to me as an outsider, someone that represents and works with new technology companies that are really interested in the MLS ecosystem. And specifically, we want to talk about how MLSs deal with new, innovative, and possibly disruptive technologies and brokerages that are kind of entering the space. And I want to start by talking about how you evaluate new technology. In my business, we're evaluating, vetting new technology opportunities on a daily basis, and frankly, it can be a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested in how you hear about and evaluate new technology, and maybe Lindsay, do you want to start us off there?
I'm Lauren, but I'll sit in for Lindsay.
I am so sorry,
okay.
Lauren.
It's okay. It's quite all right. I would say it's all over the map. We hear about it from consumers, we hear about it from brokers, we hear about it from franchises. It could be an Inman article, it could be any of you in this room of, hey, have you heard about? So the sources are pretty wide.
Great. How do you balance introducing new technology and making sure that you kind of maintain and keep track of your core business?
Well,
your turn.
When I knew I was coming to talk about this, I took a look at the past 12 months, and we have rolled out about 5 different new products or services over the last 12 months, and each of those came to us in a different way. Each of those one of them was, I call peer pressure, because we had MLSs around us that were offering a service. It was HomeSnap. We weren't offering it. We were being asked to offer it, so we did. One came from just persistence of a vendor that came through Remine. And our board was saying we want big data, so we called up Remine and said, fine, we'll meet with you, we'll do this. One came from a broker who wanted us to offer a CRM, so we partnered with LionDesk. Our shareholders then got together, decided that we, the MLS, needed to be the distributors of electronic lockboxes, so we'll be rolling those out in December. And we looked at our internal processes and saw we needed a new membership and billing system. So we try to look at products and services that will offer the best technology to the most people. Everybody's not going to use everything we make available, but we try to look at the big picture and say, okay, if we do a good job, we roll it out well, we train it well, how many people will benefit from these products and services?
It's great. Do both of you have an example of a win where it's worked for both you, the MLS, and your members?
Several.
Great. I'll take one.
And I guess what I would love to interject at this point in time, it is truly my philosophy that if you have not tried something and failed, you're not trying hard enough, because I think there are enough entrants and ideas that we need to be willing to step out there and see what it is. But we just yesterday signed up with HomeSnap as well. But lots of successes, lots of adoption with various and sundry products. And 10K comes to mind. Their InfoSparks, our members just love it, but I think it's also part of the investment on our side has been, as Karen mentioned, it's that education side and making sure that our customers are aware of what they have available to them.
Right.
Well, I think it's important that if we roll it out and we don't have the success, then you got to walk away. And there comes a point where you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to say, well, this wasn't the best idea I've had, and cut your losses and walk away. You just can't keep stringing along. If it's not working and you're not seeing the benefit for your customers, you can't keep throwing money at it. It's time to walk away.
Yeah, totally agree. We try to fail fast. Certainly not everything's going to work out. So if it's not going to work, you cut bait and move on to the next thing. And certainly failure is going to be a part of this if you're pushing the envelope here. Both of your MLSs are in markets where some of your members have overlap with other MLSs. I'm interested specifically because of the new regulation from NER concerning MLS of choice. How you guys plan on leveraging technology to stay competitive and to really differentiate yourselves?
By virtue of being one of the few remaining in-house custom system that rocks hard, by the way, we are already differentiated from those around us. I think that in the MLS of choice, we had already exercised a waiver process, so we really didn't need to make too many changes. We just like to differentiate ourselves, period.
Great, perfect. Karen?
Well, we took a little bit of a different approach and negotiated very hard with several vendors to say, we want to be the exclusive provider of these products and services. So we can stand up and say, come join us, either your whole office, the whole association can come in as a shareholder, or individual members, and here are things that you can get from us that you can't get from your own association. So that has worked very well for us. We don't have a lot of friends around us necessarily in the association world, but we're happy to make it available to them as well if they'd like to, but it all has to start with us. And that has worked well for us.
That's great. I want to go to the other side of the conversation. We represent, again, dozens of technology companies that are really interested in getting some sort of penetration, some traction in the MLS ecosystem. But frankly, I don't know that they really know how to approach you, to work with you. We dress a bit different. We talk a bit of a different language. We operate our businesses in a different manner, et cetera. What can a technology company do to be better prepared to come in and possibly work with an MLS?
I think that is a great question, because from the initial contact, I'm listening for, do they know what they're talking about, not just with their product, but do they know the MLS world? Do they know that the rules that we deal with as MLS administrators means that if they approach us and say, my favorite is, we'd like all your data, to which I say, I bet you would. But they don't understand that we are the protectors and the licensors of the data, not, sure, you can have everything. So I think, I guess what I would say is, maybe it's a plug for the CMLX-V, that they need to have an education to be able to carry on a conversation that makes sense to both of us.
Okay. Karen, anything to add to that?
I think we have a responsibility at times when vendors come in and to take a little time and explain to them our business, what we do, how we do it, which is difficult when they're so unfamiliar with it. Yeah. Just trying to train staff about our business sometimes can be very difficult. So to take the time and really explain it and what they would need to do, there's some hidden nuggets out there, and I think that we owe it to them. But I do agree that if CMLS can be a resource for new vendors or potential vendors coming into the market, I think that would be a great benefit.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I know with the REACH program, we've been working with CMLS specifically to try to educate these up-and-coming technology companies as to how they should be speaking with you, how the MLS ecosystem operates, et cetera, which has been helpful. We're looking to do more of that as well, just so they're better prepared to have some of these conversations.
Right.
We at Second Century Ventures, we're in a unique position to act as a strategic investor and really move the needle with some of the companies that we're investing in. I see MLSs in the same kind of spot, in the same situation. We actually have a number of your colleagues that have invested in some of our annual REACH funds to take and to participate in these types of investments. Do you guys ever invest in the companies that you're partnering with? And that can be equity, debt, rev share, whatever it may be.
I think our primary, financially, the quick answer is no, but I think every single vendor is an investment for us, not only in time, but in training. It's internal to make sure that staff is up to speed so that they can in turn spread the word or develop classes. So I think that once we take it on, and then marketing and PR and blog posts and social media, there's a huge investment that takes place on the MLS side, but financially, to date, no.
Okay.
No, we haven't either financially, but again, when we look at these products that come in that we're able to secure an exclusive agreement, we then take on the responsibility of marketing that product to other boards, associations, brokers throughout the whole state. So, and I feel we have invested in them because it's to our benefit as well to see it succeed. My goal is always, in any kind of arrangement like that, then in the end, my customers, my subscribers will get that product for free because we'll be able to market it to other people and we'll use that income to help offset the cost of what it is for our own customers.
That's great. You talked about some odd licensing or data requests that you get. How do you ensure that your licensing agreements are set up to foster innovation?
When we're fortunate enough to have an IP attorney. So in addition to general counsel, we have a guy who geeks out over copyright and data licensing. When we first set it up, it was kind of in the back of my mind that, well, that's done. And it has continued to evolve. So the quick answer is we need to be flexible enough to respond to the market. For instance, it started out as IDX and VOW, and then along came back office, and then along came AVMs. And I think we need to be able to carve out and accommodate the market and the demand.
And we do the same. If it's a new business model, we certainly want to entertain what it is they want, what they want to do with data, because it's usually all about data. That's the gold. And what they want to do with that data. Does it fit in our current licensing agreements, or is it an easy change? Is it something we should change? We're faced with that every day. So but we look at them all.
You're flexible there. I mean, just because it's outside the norm doesn't mean it's a definite no.
That is correct.
Okay.
Within reason.
Within reason.
And probably the easiest thing, excuse me, the easiest thing for us to do is if a vendor shows up and doesn't have any of our customers as one of their customer, it's an uphill battle because I don't have permission to give them anything.
Right.
If they conversely arrive and they have ABC Realty signed up and they're one of our subscribers, I will work with the ABC broker to send their information to the moon if that's where they want it. So we could give them the data set from ABC brokerage in a heartbeat.
Right. Okay. I want to shift gears, and this is kind of a timely topic, I think, especially considering Compass's latest giant round of financing and their monster valuation they had. With all the buzz around some of these new alternative tech-driven brokerages, Redfin, Compass, Purple Bricks, and I know some of those big names haven't made it to your specific markets yet, but how do you deal with some of these newcomers? And really, what's your role? Are you Switzerland? Do you have to mediate between the traditional brokerages and some of these new players that are coming into the market?
I feel that we're business model agnostic. What supersedes the MLS and always does is state license law. So as long as the state is satisfied that they are qualified to do business in Colorado, in my case, I'm not going to tell them, no, you can't. Not my place.
Okay.
Same. We just went through it recently. It's important for us to understand the business model and not just close the door or open the door. We want to understand a little bit about it and how we can accommodate them. Our business is about subscribers and data, and the more subscribers, the more data you have for the other subscribers. So we want to work with them to find out what is going to be necessary in order for us to open that door, let them in, play fair, and just keep building that database on behalf of all the other people that need access to it.
Great. We have a few minutes left. I want to make sure that we give each of you an opportunity to kind of leave the audience with a couple key takeaways, specifically as it pertains to dealing with some of these new entrants, whether it's a technology partner, you know, an iBuyer, whatever it may be. But what are some of the things that we really need to be thinking about or engaging in within the MLS ecospace to make sure that we're part of the conversation?
Well, I would say new ideas can come from a lot of different places. And you got to keep your eyes, your ears, your mind open to whoever comes knocking or whatever you see. It can come from anywhere, and we've experienced that. The second thing is it's okay to fail. I certainly don't recommend you make a habit of it, but it is okay to fail once in a while as long as you recognize it and own it and move on. But you're not going to get the most for your customers if you don't try something new.
Yeah, it's a great point. In our business, specifically from our fund, we anticipate that the majority of our investments aren't going to go anywhere. I mean, we're really betting on, you know, 20 or 30% of those to kind of move in the right direction. So I think that's a really important, you know, conversation to have, is that we're not going to make the right choice every time when it comes to the partners we're bringing into our particular markets. And that's okay, as long as, again, we acknowledge that, we fail fast, and we move on from that point.
Right.
Lauren?
I would say don't be too quick to say no, and yet balance that with don't be too quick to say yes. MLSs really have a balancing act between housing and protecting the data for those that we serve and making it available to those who qualify. And sometimes, no exaggeration, I would say at least once a month, I am talking to our internal data IDX individual about, they want to do what? Wait a minute, does that? There can be nuances and variations, and it's not that from a vendor perspective, it's not that we're trying to be difficult, we're trying to make sure that we are maintaining that balance.
It's great. I totally agree. I'm going to add my 2 cents here. My advice is to be proactive. Don't sit back and let change happen to you. Be a part of the conversation. I think Jack Miller mentioned yesterday that change is a-coming. And so I would recommend that you be a part of that conversation, be proactive in terms of looking at new technologies, getting to understand some of these disruptive models that are coming into your market, whether it's, again, the iBuyers or some of these new brokerage models that you're seeing coming into the space. And then the last thing that I would recommend is that you really look to collaborate. I think that this gathering of executives is a great example of collaboration. I think collaboration with other MLSs, with associations, with groups like mine, we want to be a resource for you. If we can help out in terms of helping you understand the general landscape from a technological perspective, we're here for that. If you're looking at being an active investor in some of the technologies in your space, if you want to chat about investing with us, with one of our funds, those are conversations we want to have. So be collaborative. Work together. I think that working together, even though you're competitors in some way, shape, or form, I think that you get further by working together. It's something that we preach to the companies in our REACH program who are competitive in nature every year. We bring in 8 companies a year. And the first thing we try to teach them is that you're going to get further down the road by working together, by having mind share, by talking about some of the problems that you're facing, some of the goals that you have, and maybe some better ways to achieve some of those things. So with that, unless you have any final thoughts, I'd like to thank the panelists. Let's give them again a thunderous round of applause.